Okay, hello, greetings and welcome. Okay, this video is a question that came from Timothy on one of the Vimeo on using the law of rhythm to snap the joints, to move your awareness from one state to another, or to drop into a particular skill set, or to reinforce a particular skill set. Now, this law of rhythm, when it's used with this snapping energy, in the video I went through several different methods, and because it was an audio only I couldn't physically demonstrate it. So we'll do this one to get that demonstration there so everyone understands it. Now, when you're doing any type of alchemical process, and alchemy is a transformation of energy from one state into another, you're going to have a saturation between where you are as the energy filters and transforms to where you want it to be. So your basic skill is to put your mind in two places at the same time. So I put my mind, let's say, in vital energy, and then I want to transform that vital energy into astral, say, water element. Now, I can use a very, very gentle rhythm. So I vital breathe. You've done the building the ball qigong, you've done the water element qigong exercises, you've done the pore breathing, you understand the basics. And then I take that vital energy. Now I just gently move the quality of my body into a magnetic pulling the joints open state, like if I was holding a baby, if I was connecting to the moon and pulling the joints open to absorb magnetic fluid around the full moon. And the energy would rhythmically, the life force would start gravitating towards that idea, towards magnetism, towards that magnetic field. It would just move in that direction because the mind is holding those ideas and aliving the vital energy, where the vital energy would morph and saturate into that particular frequency. Now, if you wanted to speed this up, so let's say you've done your 100 hours of water element training, you're already there, you know the water element really well, but you don't want to saturate and take all this time to drop into that absorption, that concentrated samahati state of being in unity with the water element. You can use an energetic snap. And let's say if I vital breathe, you instantly go, there's a density or a ball of magnetic fluid, and I'm over here watching, controlling, and building the fluid over there. So the observer and the observed, there's a high degree of separateness with it. So you can do exercises where you break that separation. So the first exercise might be just fluttering your fingers a little bit while you're vital breathing, and your mind will dissolve the edges of the sphere and just move into the vital energy, move from a quantitative to a qualitative state. Just a simple awareness, expand the mental space, flutter the fingers, it breaks that mental astral matrix, and you move more into a qualitative, lighter feeling of that life force. With using the rhythm, we want to go through that same door of breaking the mental astral matrix, but we snap the mechanics. So we start vital, we create the mental space, we remember the water state, and we snap the joints. And as soon as you snap the joints, your mind does this rhythmic whiplash, and it whips you into the state that you're focused on. So you start vital, water element, and your mind snaps there really, really fast. This snapping effect shakes off the cohesion and the stickiness that your physical body has on your mind. So for instance, I get tension in my neck. I've got a little bit of arthritis in there and it makes twitching. If I use a snapping method, it snaps that energy out that's holding my mind to my body and liberates my mind. It frees my mind to go to a different place. It releases me. So if, let's say, a person had tension in their shoulder, they would, boom, they'd snap and open that up and create a whiplash in their shoulder to release the mind and release the tension that's stuck there. So this rhythmic method not only allows you to slingshot into a past state that you've developed and you're very familiar with, it also frees your mind from your body, from physical tensions, from astral emotions. So if, let's say, I've lost balance and my mind has gotten aggravated, irritated about something, and I realize, oh, I'm being aggravated and irritated, I have to release this. I draw a feeling of love and peacefulness in, and then I snap the feeling. So I connect in the letter J, for instance, in Kabbalah. I just soften into it. I see the disparity between how I feel and how my mind is connecting, and I release and I float and I open up my mental space and I go out into this universal love quality, and that agitated energy that was previously there goes whip and pops out of my body, and I go, I feel so much better. And then all the cells in my body go, oh, we've changed channels. We're not on this anymore, we're on that, and your chemistry starts shifting and morphing towards love rather than the agitation. So you can snap yourself out of a bad mind state using this method. You can rhythmically switch from one point of focus to another point of focus. It doesn't have to be from bad to good. It can be from good to good or good to better, or just simply shifting around between different states by snapping the fascia. Now, when you snap the fascia, you want to have the mechanics match what you're going into. So by snapping the fascia and going to water element, now I'm pulling the joints open on the magnetic field. If I snap the joints and I go into fire element, I have an expanding radiating from the joints for that electric radiant fluid. I'm going to the air element, I snap into the air mechanics as if I'm about to get up out of my chair, and so forth. And you refine it. If you're working on water element, that's magnetic fields of the moon and building gross magnetic power on a full moon, you're going to have a dynamic magnetic tension in your body as you're sucking those fields through you as you look at the full moon. Where if you're doing universal love, it's going to be much more gentle and softer and unifying, accepting, non-judgmental, and it'll have a quality of understanding without judgment. So it's more of a mind quality than a physical form quality. Of course, that mind quality can manifest in form through thought, feeling, action bridges and become a manifested form of love if that's what you chose. But the mind quality of love is what liberates you. Okay, so there's law of rhythm. You need to journal the process. Now, there's several factors which regulate success. One is space. You're going from your mind limited to a certain type of space to a larger space, usually, not always, but usually. So by changing small space to big space, the energy whiplashes because of the shift in space. Now there's a shift in time. When you do the whiplash, you want to release time at the end, so you go into a type of timeless release within the feeling quality of what you want to go to. It takes you to the essence of love, the magnetic fluid, whatever it is you're working on. So the way your mind shifts between time and space to the frequency that you're working on allows this law of rhythm to function at a much higher peak. Now there's a relationship inside of time to speed. You do the whiplash and you let go of time, so you need to speed it up and use a law of rhythm to stretch, snap. So cracking a whip. When you crack a whip, the speed of the acceleration of the crack, at the end of the crack, when it cracks, that's your moment. You release time, you release space. You move through the Akasha. If you've done the Akasha training, you'd put a bubble of Akasha around you, chanting the first before you did the exercise. Once you're in the Akashic bubble, then you do the rhythmic switch, and the Akasha would take you through the Akashic essence of the frequency, the mind quality you want to drop into. It's an amplifier, it makes it clean, keeps you connected to the Brotherhood of Light or the Universal Light. For the women who are watching, the Brotherhood of Light is not gender-based, it's universal, it's non-dual. This is just old school psychology, and that's what they used for a long time, and it's incorrect. It's not a brotherhood, it's not a sisterhood, it's a universal connectivity of non-dual light beings. All religions end up at the same place. Doesn't matter if you're a Christian mystic praying every day, when you release time, space, move into non-duality in your mind, and you see the spirit as being in resonance with God, you float into the Brotherhood of Light. And this is not religious based, it's not controlled by anyone, it's anyone who enters in a non-dual state enters into this Brotherhood of Light, or this universal light, consciousness. We call it a brotherhood because it's more specific. It's a grouping, a clinging effect to people who are on a path of ascension. There are people who achieve this who are not trying to ascend, who are just cultivating power. If you concentrate your mind on a meditation object, you start releasing time. You keep concentrating on the meditation object, you start releasing space. You keep concentrating on the meditation object, you move through this timeless, spaceless state into an infinity quality, and then your own mind is produced as a type of non-dual light. That's the door to this Brotherhood of Light. But if your underlying filter or blueprint is not to attain unity with God or Nibbana, it's just simply the cultivation of power, and you concentrate to absorb power out of the Akasha, out of light, it's not the Brotherhood of Light, even though that's what you're working with. The Brotherhood of Light is a frequency or a laser pointing at God, a laser pointing at universal mind, a laser pointing at the Tao, pointing an upward ascension process towards the highest. So if a person's not looking towards that, where they're just more looking towards generation of power and Qigong and Tai Chi and so forth, and using more of that, they're touching it but not in unity with it. They're more reflecting the creative principle of how the universe creates from light as it comes into form. They're interacting with that and utilizing that to generate power. So this process of using the law of rhythm for your Qigong revision, you need to have a place where you are and a place where you want to be, basic alchemy. Then when you relax from where you are to where you want to be in the early stages of training, you're using the saturation model. You're slowing everything down, releasing space, moving the essence of the mind substance, what you want. You reflect that energy through the mind substance back astrally and vitally to create something new. Now you have where you are and the higher state of what you've practiced. Now you can use a law of rhythm, a rhythmic whiplash, to put you into that state by snapping the body mechanically within resonance of what you're moving into, so that the mechanics support the personality, the expansion, release of time and space in the mind, and that you can whiplash rhythmically yourself into that state. Okay, so I suggest you watch this video a few times and take notes on each of the qualities, and then when you practice it, write down your personal method, journal it, and journal the results you get, because there's always this continuous refinement of your way, your method. How you refine your mind, how you refine your practice, how you refine your way, it's kind of up to you. It's your unique thing. It's your unique approach to this. So always have a very sacred relationship between your spiritual practice and your mind. You want to be entering into prayer when you practice these things. It's through prayer that you release time and space most quickly, and then you bring yourself into the proximity of divinity. You bring yourself into the proximity of the deities, of the support structure, the people who have attained Nibbana in the past, the various deities of the different religions that you might be working with. They're in this non-dual flux state, and they're only accessible through prayer. Be still and know that you are God is the fastest path to ascension. So what you do when you pray, you're humble. You surrender yourself to something greater than your own ego. There's a deep sense of devotion to your spiritual path because you're actually doing that. There's a deep sense of reverence for the Almighty, for the Buddhas, for Nibbana, for the release process, for the doctrine, whatever you're working with. And there's a sacredness inside of this vibrational scale of prayer. All that releases time and space and takes you into the Akasha very, very quickly. So people can just be highly reverent type of people and pray and start their initiation process on step 10 because they have the stillness and equanimity inside prayer to do that. And then they might backtrack. They might have lived a saintly life of prayer and really not practice initiation. And then they pick up the initiation book and go, oh wow, I've been doing that for years, I've been doing that for years, that's arisen in my experience. And then they just start ticking off the boxes. They've already ticked off a lot of the boxes because they're a person of prayer, they've lived a holy life because they may have been raised that way. They already have the ethics, they already have the one-pointed concentration when they pray, they already have the humility and equanimity underneath the mind when they enter into that. And then they just go, oh, I've got to train these visualization exercises, I've got to train these energy, these elements, these, this, and they deepen all their skills. The initiation process is not linear. It's not start with step 1 and finish with step 10. Our mind is not subject to time and space. That's a ridiculous idea to even think that we have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Every past incarnation you had, you developed aspects of the initiation process, aspects of the magician. You've already ticked a lot of those boxes off. So all you have to do is enter into a prayer and tick more of those boxes off, and whichever ones you tick off first, you follow your own natural rhythm. In the end, you tick them all off. Don't leave any of them unturned. Some of them you're not going to use, but others are super important. So do all the exercises, and if you're a healer, there are certain boxes which are super important. If you're a Tai Chi teacher, the feeling gate is the most important. You don't need clairvoyance. You need to feel more. So you're going to develop different aspects of initiation to fit into your life's path and to work with what you need in your path of service. So my suggestion to you is to go through the initiation process, look at all the exercises, see which ones are easy, which ones are difficult, and then start applying this law of rhythm to slingshot you into the easy exercises suddenly. And why I suggest this is when you can concentrate well and have success in one area, it lifts the ease and the vibrational ability to achieve in other areas. So do what's fun and what you're good at first, and the rest becomes easy. Thank you for your time, and see you on the next video. And Tim, I hope this answers your question. And this video I think will be posted on YouTube, but if you have questions about any other more deeper, more complex topics on Vimeo, let me know what channel you're on so I can post the answer onto the Vimeo channel so that we can keep it more relevant. A lot of people on YouTube may not have the depth or the background to really appreciate the more complex questions that need to be dealt with. So I'll try to keep everything simple for YouTube and go very, very deep into this metaphysical science on our 3 Vimeo channels. Thank you. You take care.